This is kind of high. Okay. Ah. Hmm. I feel like I should be higher. And it's super bright. I am live. Hey, this is my first time, so I'm just kind of figuring things out. And we're going to get to it in a second. It's really, really bright. Man. Hmm. Should I go back some? Hey, hey. Welcome to She Is Elle. This is my first live. I'm super duper duper excited to be on today. It's been raining all morning, so I decided instead of getting in the garden that I would try to go live today for the first time. So I'm still just navigating the setup and trying to figure out what works. It's super duper bright to me anyway. And so I don't know, I might try to make some adjustments. Okay. So we'll see if anybody will be joining us today. I'm going to hang out for a little bit and I'm not in any rush. I'm just blessed and grateful that I actually pulled the trigger to do this today. And we're going to go from here. I would love to have a perfect setup, but of course, since this is my first time, we're going to make it do what it do. Ah, let's see if I can navigate to any of my details. Let's see. Okay. Settings. All right. Well, I'm not going to tinker too much. I'm just going to hang out. And even if no one shows up, I'm going to keep it pushing. I need the practice. And you could always watch the replay. So I'm not going to beat myself up too much about having a perfect situation. I'm just going, let's just get to it. So I am She Is Elle. And one of the things I like to say is that I'm doing right now is I tend to the soil, nourish the body, and heal the soul. Okay. Heal the soul. So I'm Elle. I'm a single mother of one. I am a beginner gardener and I'm an expat living in Cahuita Limon, Costa Rica. Okay. I I've chosen to move from the US, and Costa Rica was my number one location. And here I am. I've been here for some time, and um, I decided recently started growing. Well, I'm going to take that back. I recently started growing in the ground and decided to create a farm. Over the last 2 years or so, I started growing in pots, but all has happened since I arrived here in Costa Rica. And before I get into it, thank you for listening to my spill. I'm going to be all over the place. I do have some cue cards just to make sure I don't miss anything. I'm not going to read it word for word. However, I do want to make sure that I cover all the areas that I plan to discuss with you today. And I'm sure as I do this more and more, I will get better. It will get seamless. I'll have less ums and ahs. And if you've watched any of my videos, There's a lot of ums and ahs, okay? A lot of that is being done off the top of my head. And I'm rusty. Let's just keep it real. So I'm getting practice, and that's what I'm doing today. But in the meanwhile, you're going to get to know me. You're going to feel my energy, and we're going to chop it up. So without further ado, let's get to it. I want to let you know that this space is for any gardeners, homesteaders, growers, people that are healing through herbs and medicinal herbs and through lifestyle change, and anyone that is curious about living abroad. Okay, thank you for being here, and I hope that I can provide value to you today. And if I do that, please like this video to help me to help me grow my channel. Please do subscribe and um, and share. Okay. That's, as a content creator, that's all we really can ask for. Anything else is a bonus. And bear with me as I grow, right? Because everybody's got to start somewhere. And this is the beginning of my journey. And with that being said, let's talk about how I ended up here in Costa Rica and how I went from how was the transition, all that good stuff. So, again, hold on one second. Um, okay, I don't need this because I'm going to tell my story, and what's on there is just pretty basic. So, um, I moved here from Atlanta, Georgia, and I've been here for some time, a significant amount of time. I am a mother of one, a single mother, and I had to navigate moving to a new country, not knowing the language. I had to navigate legal documents and, rent and school and all of that before I landed here in Cahuita. I'm on the Caribbean coast. So in my community, there are Black Costa Ricans. The energy here is real irie. Everybody's dreaded out. We eating Caribbean chicken every day. It's a great vibe. It's a Black vibe. I'll keep it real. When I started, I lived in the San Jose area. We call it the Central Valley. I started there first, and it was cool for what it was worth. I had access to everything, but I just didn't feel connected, right? I was living in a townhome or a condo community. My daughter was still in the house playing video games or watching TV, and I really wanted us to access the lush, Caribbean, the beach, all the things that moving to Costa Rica was supposed to provide. So, excuse me, when I started out, I was more in the urban environment, and I would come down to the Caribbean on the holidays whenever we were out of school to come visit, and I never wanted to leave. So when the time presented itself, I found an opportunity to purchase some land, and that's exactly what I did. um, and I built a home, and that took some time. And during that process, my first year, I actually started growing my own fruits and vegetables, everything in pots. I knew eventually that I was going to want to buy land and move. So I was ahead. I was working ahead of the game. So I grew some herbs. I had some trees, actually, a few of the trees behind me started out in pots, and I nurtured them. And then some time ago, they went in the ground. And so when I moved to this area, which is a four hour difference from where I used to live, I had a truck with only my garden stuff. Literally, I had over 60 plants in pots that I had to relocate, as well as my items. And that was a huge step for me. And when I first arrived, I built a home, and um, I really couldn't tend to my plants. Many of them got neglected. Some had too much sun, some had too much water. It was a lot going on. So as life started to slow down and adjust, I decided that I would start putting my plants into the ground and really, take control over um, the plants that I had poured so much time and effort into. The environment is completely different down here. It's very hot. It rains a lot. So it's two extremes. It's either rainy and cloudy or hot and sunny. So today was a rainy day. It is cloudy, believe it or not. It looks very bright on my screen anyway, but it is cloudy. If it was sunny, I probably wouldn't be able to sit here. I would need to be, you know, in a covered area with some shade. But anyhow, let's get back to it. So I brought all my pots here. I moved them around the yard from place to place. I had absolutely no landscaping. All I had was a house, right? And so slowly but surely, I started to put my plants in the ground, which I started out with a few citrus, which are right behind me. They're pretty thin right now because I had some ants come eat up all the leaves, so they're growing back. And I will have a tour of, I like to call this my orchard row, because it's probably 15 or so fruit trees. And most of this has been in the ground for close to a year, at a minimum 6 months. I have a few things that I recently planted probably 3 months ago or recently, but for the most part, a few of the items have been there 6 months to a year. So it's still fairly young. I have no fruit as of yet. But back to the story, right? So, so it had been on my heart that when I, purchased this land, that I would eventually start to grow food. However, it felt like a huge undertaking. It was just very intimidating. I didn't know where to start. I didn't really have a plan, And so a few months back, I connected with a family here, and I was telling them how excited I was to want to start growing, and I just couldn't figure it out. And so we decided that we would create, a community program or community garden. And actually, the community, I get volunteers maybe once or twice a week. One or two volunteers, usually just one or two, at most maybe 3 to 5. But once to twice a week, I get help. But outside of that, I'm here every day, day in and day out, working, weeding, tilling, planting, seeding, anything and everything, repairing, um, you name it. As of right now, I have a few projects that are on my radar. And so until those projects are complete, I haven't gone full fledged with in ground gardening just yet. Most of what I've been planting thus far have been landscape, rose bushes. I'm hearing something. I'm sorry. So I've been planting bushes, flowers, um, bananas, fruit trees. I have quite a few fruit trees, variety, over 30 different varieties of fruit trees in the ground already. This is not all of it, but this is just, I would say, my orchard row. And then everything else primarily is around the perimeter. Um, And I tend to refer to the farm as a yard, mostly because a lot of it is in the front. You're just seeing probably a quarter of it right now. But I don't know. I have a hard time saying it's a farm, maybe because it's still underdeveloped, and I'm going through the process. But we will be a farm food forest. But right now I just call it a garden because it's underwhelming, if I'm being honest, to me anyway. And so, we'll go from there. Let me get back to my notes, and before I lose track, I want to say get to it. But if so, in summary, I moved from the San Jose metro area to a beach town. I live about 5 minutes away from the beach, and I go to the beach at least at a minimum one time a week. And it's very rainy here. This year we have gotten a lot of rain, so I haven't had a lot of success with most of my seeds and seedlings. So you're going to see I have more harvest stories and failures as it relates to seeds. However, I've been reluctant to just grow everything in the ground because I have muddy soil and I have clay soil as well as sometimes it just gets so hot. I don't want to dry the seeds out. So, I've been practicing putting seeds in Ziploc bags and things like that. So I've been trying a little bit of everything. Um, I kept hearing noise. It was my neighbor cutting down some bananas anyway, but it's close, it's so quiet back here that I could hear everything and it was like startling me. So anyway, let's get back to it, right? Um, so I chose to leave the US for many reasons. One of them was, I just didn't feel it anymore. And I've traveled the world in my younger days, and I wanted to provide a life for my daughter that was slow, that was full, that provided value, and that we didn't have, you hear the monkeys, where we didn't have a bunch of stress and worry, and she could be a kid. And we could just slow down, grow food, live a healthy life, a wholesome life. And we didn't have to worry about, the sabotage from the food and the community, just anything and everything, all of the things. You guys already know what I'm talking about, where we can't even eat cereal, right, without harming ourselves. And I'm going to tap into my story a little bit, but, you know, before I do that, I just want to kind of wrap that up. Why I chose to move here for a better quality of life, for a slower life, to be in nature, to connect with nature, to heal, all of those things, to find peace within myself and within my community, and to touch the earth and to grow and to just become a better human being, right? And I'm working on that. That is definitely a work in progress. But that's what it is. I say that a lot. And before I move on, I just want to make sure that I covered everything because it's really important that people understand a transition like this is no small feat. I had to pack up everything, sell everything, load it up, move it, put it on a plane, what I had, start new, start new journeys of how to navigate school systems and how to navigate shopping and having a broken language, right? I can speak a little bit but not that much, learning how to navigate all of the things. And but it's worth it. It is worth it. Okay. Tell you that. Okay. I knew that was gonna happen. So my alarm is ringing. Hold on. Let me turn that off. And let's see. Is he waiting on me? Uh let's see what's going on there. Okay. Anyhow. So with that being said, better quality of life for myself, for my child, and um, more recently, I started change my lifestyle. I started eating better. I started using herbs for medicine. I about a year ago I changed completely. I don't no longer use U.S. brand deodorants. I no longer use deodorants with aluminum in it. I changed out my tissues, my toilet tissues. I no longer buy milk, whole milk. I try to cut out eggs, but that is a struggle. But I just changed my lifestyle. I've healed my body. I've healed myself using herbs, medicinal herbs. And once I did that, I completely knew that I had to change my lifestyle in its entirety. And to take it a step further, as a single mom, I know what it's like to have financial challenges, to not have enough money for groceries at times, right? And I'll be honest with you, the US dollar does not go far here. It is cut in half. So any income that anyone has is cut in half. When I first arrived, it was maybe cut by a third, but now it's cut in half. So my funds don't go as that far, and I spend most of my money on groceries. So I decided that myself or any woman in my community should never, when it's all said and done, we're going to eat off the land. We're going to get to a point where we can feed ourselves, and and everything we need is in the yard. So with that being said, I'm going to transition into what it is that I have grown already, and maybe we can get to what I plan to grow, because I plan to grow quite a few items. So give me a second, because I have a list. I try to keep a good list of the things that I actually have in the yard, between, I should say, on the property. But give me one second and I will tell you. Okay, so um, we shouldn't be hungry, right? With nature being, you can walk around the community and just grab coconuts and mangoes and things like that. So no one should ever be hungry. And with the cost of groceries, I think it's important to invest in myself to start growing now. I will tell you that it's expensive. I still live a life, prior to this, and I'm doing it alone. So everything I have is going into, um, buying the materials and things that I need for this garden or for this farm. And so I recycle where I can. A lot of my projects are janky. So don't judge me. I'm doing what I can. It's not that pretty right now, but I'm sure once the foliage and everything comes, it's going to be gorgeous. I'm certain of it. It's going to be magical, but this is the beginning phase and I'm also learning. So I'm sure it'll be a year or two before, this thing really shapes into something, to what I imagine it can be. But right now, we are in the beginning stages. However, with that being said, don't sleep, because I got a ton of things in this ground. Okay. Now, let's start with my pomegranate. I have four pomegranate trees. One of them is a dwarf that I purchased, and the other three I grew from seed. And they are about 2 years old. um, and the one that I purchased is probably closer to three. It's flowering. It could fruit at any time. So I've been talking to my baby girl. Her name is Juicy. I think she's going to fruit and flower and fruit before the rest of them. And I'm hoping that happens this year. And I have soursop. Actually, I don't know if you can see it, but it's this one right here, the closest one to the edge right here, that one. That is soursop, and we can already make tea off the leaves. I have limon. I have a limon right here. It's a baby, and I have about three or four more around the property. I have mandarin. Sorry, I have orange, grapefruit, and those are my oranges and grapefruit are at least 2 years, maybe 3 years old. I have orange, grapefruit, and lime. They call it limon. Lime and lemon is interchangeably here, but I have the green limes. And then I have avocado. I have two of them in the ground. And I also have, we call it pipa, but it's the green coconuts that we drink water out of. Man, I have probably too many to count, maybe seven. I have the yellow ones that you use for cooking, and also the green ones. So I have two to three different varieties, and I probably have seven of the green ones and three of the coconuts. Bananas, too many to count. Plantain, I have maybe two or three plantain. I would prefer it the other way around, more plantain and less banana. I have a cacao tree. That's this tree right here in the back, uh, the one furthest behind. Um, I have that's a cacao, which is what you make chocolate with. I have biriba, that's what they call it here. Don't ask me. But I couldn't find it the last time I went looking for it. I have June plum. I have aki. I have two akis. I have two mamon trees. Mamons are the ones with the little spikes, and you crack them open, and they're sweet. They're amazing. They're one of my favorite fruits here. Mamon is it's a tropical fruit, and I love them. So I decided to grow them myself. I have two young babies. It could be years. I mean, real years, several years before they come. So there's nothing really to look at. I just started papaya in the ground yesterday. I just threw them in the ground. I did not even record the video. I will make a video when they start to sprout. Also, I've been offered, I get a lot of donations of, we just exchange. And so someone has offered me to get a pup of a papaya, and I'm told that papayas don't like being moved. So that's why I threw the seeds down anyway. I was supposed to pick it up this weekend, but I did not. So I just went ahead and threw some seeds in the ground. But my goal is to grow maybe three papayas. Um, and pitaya, y'all. Oh my goodness. I have eight cuttings of pitaya. I'm sorry, that is in Espanol. In English, it is dragon fruit. So I have about eight plants that are rooting right now to have dragon fruit set up, and that's going to be one of my upcoming projects. Right now, I'm working on trellises. I'm going hard on these trellises. Once the trellises are up, the next will be to build the dragon fruit stands, because they get really heavy, and they need like a nice place for them to kind of spread and grow up and fruit, all of that. So my future project will be to make I guess I'm going to call them dragon fruit trellises or dragon fruit stands. I will be doing that, and I've watched quite a bit of YouTube, and someone is here. Who is that? I don't know who it is. Anyhow, I've watched quite a few. You can say what's up. I'm new on here, so I don't even know how to see who it is, um, or where to go, but say hey in the chat. Okay. But anyhow, right? So the pitaya, the dragon fruit, that's going to be a huge project, because I'm probably going to have to create 4 to 6 trellises. And I've seen quite a few different projects on YouTube. I'm thinking of using tubing for that, but we'll see. And then I literally just planted a baby mangosteen pup in the ground. I can't wait, but that could be 5 to 10 years. I just got jackfruit and breadfruit, and they are babies. They're not doing so well, if I'm being honest. We've just had a lot of rain. I feel like something is scratching me. And I believe it or not, I'm not a huge fan of mango. So I haven't done that. And then I have 3 moringas. 2 are in the ground, and one I'm still undecided on where to put it. In the garden, now those are fruit trees and things that are going to take long term. But in the garden right now, and what is already growing, I have yucca, sugarcane, red and white. I have cantaloupes that went in the ground, honeydew, watermelon, um, eggplant, cucumbers, turnips, summer squash, and my Suriname cherries. They are not doing well, but let's hope they might sprout and surprise me. And I've tried peppers so many times, too many times. I don't know why. I do have one pepper plant, but I mean, I've made trays and trays of peppers. I personally believe that the seedling trays have dried out, and I have not had any success with that. Carrots, I haven't had success. Tomatoes, haven't had success. I haven't tried potatoes yet. Believe it or not, that is upcoming. I have some potatoes that I'm waiting for them to sprout. I do have sweet potato slips in the ground, so it could be a few months before those are ready to harvest. But sweet potatoes are in the ground, so I'm proud of that. I have spinach and callaloo planted. And I think I said honeydew already. And I'm getting ready to plant ground cherries because I know they grow wild. But that's quite a bit of stuff. In terms of herbs, I have Cuban oregano, regular oregano, or Greek oregano, lemongrass, lemon balm, basil, parsley. Cilantro is not doing, will not grow for me, and it grows wild here. So I don't know why they keep dying on me. I have parsley. My sage and my thyme didn't make it just because they dried out, too much sun, and they were in a bad spot. And so I've got some work to do, and those were my herbs. Now that was a mouthful, y'all. That was quite a bit. And so it's taken quite a bit of work just to get here. Um, and I don't know if you can see this, but ooh, let's see. Okay. That is my ground garden area. I put up a cover, and it is um it needs a lot of work. But the sun gets really, really hot. Oh, look, the brightness went down a little bit. But the sun gets really, really hot. Maybe that way or that way. The sun gets really, really hot, and so you need shade for some items. If it's not a tropical plant and it's not something that does really well here, you're going to want to shade it. It's still going to get tons of sun and get extremely hot. Um, Bananas do well, the soursop, the fruit trees will thrive, the citrus will thrive, the yucca will thrive, sweet potatoes will thrive, but all that other stuff, you really have to tend to it. And that's why I haven't gotten there yet, because I'm trying to do the easy wins, the home runs. I'm trying to do the things that I know, will grow and I will have success. And I had to trellis a lot of it because it's easier for me to trellis than have to tend with a lot more items on the ground between the bugs, the pests, the animals. It's just more that I will have to contend with. So by trellising everything, it will really help me have success in the future. Also, I just planted bay rum. That's going to turn into a tree. I planted two of those. And I mean, man, that's quite a bit. And that's just the beginning. Um, so I'm working on composting. I have two compost bins. I started to do a compost bin outside, like just an outdoor compost, but I don't want to attract rodents. And so I quickly regrouped because I don't need rodents in and out of my property, digging holes and doing all that. And so I started with a big yellow bin, which is my first compost, homemade DIY compost bin. I have a video for that. And then I made a second compost bin with a 200-liter trash can. I don't think I posted that video, but that will be coming. And what I've been trying to do is literally just capture all the little projects and everything I'm doing. I can't get the videos posted fast enough. And so, I've been posting two videos a day, Monday through Friday. And I typically make a longer video and then a short, just so that I can get some movement on both ends for the people who watch shorts, or for the people that really want to see what's going on. And so that's what I've been doing. And of course, this is my first live, and so I plan on going live once, 1 to 2 times a week going forward. I'm serious about this. I'm out here, so at some point I'm going to let you watch me work, right? And because I'm out here many times by myself, it's cool to have someone to chat with or entertain with or talk to or whatever. So I will show a lot more of what I'm actually doing. Let's see if I can get some better color. Hmm. It's just so bright. Anyhow, and so compost is something I'm working on. Oh, did I mention sugarcane? I think so. I have red sugarcane and the white or the yellow sugarcane growing. I think I've lost quite a few of them, but I still have about 4, 6, maybe 10, 10 stalks at this time, and they will spread. So I'm not too worried about it. They will spread. And also yucca. I have probably 10 stalks of yucca as well. A few of them had been in the ground for about 6 months or so. And I had a fail with that as well. I can't wait to share a video about that. But I harvested one prematurely very recently, and it was a dud because I pulled it out too soon. And again, that blame it on my inexperience. Um, but I just didn't know what I didn't know, and I thought it was ready. And when I pulled it out, it was little to nothing, skinny little things, and they're gonna end up in the compost. So, I was just so excited to harvest something that, and I thought it was ready based on my research, but I hadn't hit a specific milestone. And that's what happens when you're new and you don't know what you're doing, pretty much. Um, so flowers, I've been trying to plant lots of, if you could look, that green fence eventually will be covered with shrubs all the way to the top. And then I've got little hibiscus and other beautiful flowers that I've been installing. If you could see the small little plants just right here at the ground, um, those are babies that will turn into nice little bushes, I'm sure, or I hope. But they already have new leaves and new growth, so they're doing well, and they're native to the area, so I don't see them, dying or anything like that. Um, but let's talk about this. I want to say I'm a solo farmer, but yes and no. I'm out here most days working, many days working alone. However, I do have a garden community called Cahuita Harvesting Hands, and it's a bunch of expats who are also in my community who have offered and volunteered to help, and we will share in our harvest. And so, thus far, I have financed everything. I have provided all the basic tools, gloves and tools and, neem oil and whatever it is, rope, whatever it is, wheelbarrow, but the things here in Costa Rica, we don't have access to big box stores, not where I am by the beach in the rural area, I guess. And so I can't get access to stuff, and I have to travel to San Jose to go get stuff, and it's costly. So right now we have the most basic things, but I just want to tell you, a wheelbarrow that should cost 30 or 40 bucks cost me 80 bucks, right? That trash can cost me 60 bucks, and that was the cheapest one I could find. I would have paid $80 for a $20 trash can or $25 trash can. But this is what it takes and what I need. So I've been buying it. I'm self-funded, and it's a lot. So that's why slowly but surely we're getting there. So I do a lot of digging, planting, building, typically when I have, projects that require helping hands, I put a call out to the community. We plan a day, and I get a few guests that show up, and we work together and we get things done. And so that's what I've been doing thus far. So shout out to Cahuita Harvesting Hands, and for helping me out, for helping me get this far, for helping me bring my dreams to reality. Because it was a dream, but I really didn't have. I didn't know how I would get there, right? And so that's kind of how I'm able to do what I'm doing now, because I had that help in the beginning. I had the push, to get it started. And I had help, I had the community. We came together and they helped me get started, not with the fruit trees behind me. This preceded them, but with the trellises and maintaining and making sure we don't have aphids and spraying the items and whatever it takes. I've had help from the community. So I've decided to recently create a Kofi, a donation link, and no donation is too small. Okay, I will take a $5 donation, but I do need support. I'm asking for support. If you rock with me, if you find value in any of my videos, if you just think I'm the homie, like, it's okay. But if you could find it in your heart to donate, it would be greatly appreciated. And any donations will be used to buy tools, supplies, soil, mulch, seeds. I think I've spent, the last time I went home, I probably spent close to $100 on seeds. I'm not able to bring any plants or anything back, so I would have to buy them here locally, and they are a little more expensive here. And so I would love to get some berries and things like that, some cherries and berries. That is on the agenda for the future. But right now, we've been trying to grow whatever we can from seed, um, just because it's cheaper. And I mean seed that we eat the fruit and keep the seed. So whenever we can, we do that. But it would be nice to have some exotic fruits and some, I would say, dwarf fruits, things that are not going to grow too massive, things like that. We want to plant so that we can be more functional, you know um and also, one of the things that I know I will need eventually is a sugarcane juicer, a sugarcane press. I'm growing sugarcane, and I can't wait till we can make natural sugar, make our own sugar. These are the goals for our health journey, right? I no longer buy white sugar. That is out. I no longer buy white flour. That is out. So right now I use amaranth or spelt, and it costs a lot of money. I bought some amaranth seeds, but they were a fail as well. I will have to try again. But that is my goal, for us to grow the things that I know are harder to source and to buy. And so yeah, any donation would be greatly appreciated. Let's see. And so I'm making my own homemade compost, but sometimes the areas are just large and deep, um, and it requires, amendments and things like that. And there's a cost to a lot of that stuff. And because I'm just getting started, as we know, over time, I can amend and reuse soil and improve the soil over time. But right now is the time where I have to pay for the things that I don't have. I have to buy soil if I don't have enough compost, things like that. Or I don't have a compost setup that's large enough to turn, a significant amount all year long. So this is, what I do. So every month I find myself in the garden stores, just buying whatever I can afford and making do with what I have. Um, and so before I move on, I want to ask the community, if you're watching this video at a later date, give me your thoughts on, and share with me what you're growing right now. Um, what are you having success with? What would you love to see? And what do you want to grow next? I shared a few items that I would like to grow in the future, what things I would like to do. I want to be able to just go out to the yard for anything I need: fruit, bananas, plantain, potato, mango. I don't want to say mango, although I'm starting to get a little pressure that I need to put a mango tree up. I don't, there's monkeys all around. I think you heard them earlier. Right now, they're kind of quiet, but the monkeys do a number on these mango trees. And I don't mind giving back to the animals and to giving a percentage back to the earth, right? I don't mind that, but I don't want a bunch of half-eaten mangoes tossed around all around the yard, and they're not my favorite fruit. However, I do believe for a community impact that I probably will eventually have to find some space and find some mango and put a mango tree um, somewhere on the property. And in terms of future episodes, what I may want to share going forward. I really want to graft. I really, really, truly want to graft, and I want to do it on camera. I've been watching tons of videos. I also want to grow mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, as well as wine cap mushrooms. There are reishi mushrooms growing in the on the property now, and they're wild. I didn't attempt to grow them, but I truly, truly want to grow my own mushrooms. And I think that's the epitome of my success. When I have the dragon fruit and the mushrooms, you're not going to be able to tell me anything. Okay. I will feel like I have arrived, right? But those are the two most prevalent things on my agenda after the trellises and all the melons are healthy and growing, and the passion fruit is trellised, and the okra is trellised. Well, not trellised. The pole beans are trellised. That's something that I'm still getting ready to do. Is the pole beans, passion fruit trellis is going up next. And so these are my future projects. What about you? What are you working on? What has eluded you? Like, what have you failed at and you're still going to try? Or what have you failed at and you're going to quit? I'm in a tropical environment, so I can grow most things all year long. However, there is a dry season here that's really, really hot that most people do not plant. Your items will grow, you can maintain them if you water them, but you don't want to put new seeds in the ground. And that is coming up here shortly. I probably have just a few more weeks to a month before it gets really, really dry, and I won't be putting any new seedlings into the ground, and I'll have to manually water morning and night to keep some of my plants alive and thriving. And that's just the nature of the beast. um let's see, is there anything else? Is there anything that you would like to see me grow on the channel? Something that maybe you can't grow in your area, that's tropical, or a fruit you've seen and you've never, you haven't been able to grow it because of where you live. Let me know. In this environment, I can grow just about anything. Um, I don't know. I showed you a preview of my shading. It's janky. I need to modify it. I need to improve it. It's up, right? But it's not doing well. It's just up there, which is why I don't show that part of the property often, because it's not appealing to the eye. And so you're going to tend to see me show mostly this area of the property because, this is the area where most things are having success, and it's fruitful, so that's all the work that I have going on. I hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, there'll be another live. But this is really my backstory. I think I did mention before I leave that I changed my lifestyle. I still eat junk, but I'm working on it. But I've really stopped. I don't use whole milk. We started with almond milk. Now we make our own pumpkin seed milk. I no longer use white flours, white sugars. I've changed my tissues, my deodorants, my paper towels, my body wash, all of those things. So I'm not pouring toxins into my body anymore. Now I'm working on my food habits, and this is not just a journey for me, but for most people around the world. But I'm going to talk to my fellow Americans. We are eating a bunch of toxins, carcinogens on a daily basis. And it's really time that we start to look at the ingredients in our food and find ways to grow. I've seen people online who have balconies growing an abundance of herbs and vegetables and tomatoes and cucumbers and salads and greens and all of the things. So you don't have to have a big piece of land. And I'm gonna just be honest, my property is not that big. I have a little bit over a half an acre. I have like 2/3 of an acre. And right now it's cut in half. So this green fence is splitting the property in half. Um, and the other side is empty, other than the fruit trees that I have planted. But this side has plenty of space, other than fruit trees that I'm starting to grow now around the perimeter. I will not. I need to master this side of the property here. And again, it's not a small property, and I still have space on the side of the house. I'm facing the house right now. So you're looking at the front yard, and this is my garden, right? This is where I'll be growing. Primarily over here is where I'll be spending most of my time going forward. And this is the area that I show the least. I have some raised garden beds. I have some pots all over the place. I've got a bunch of stuff, that I'm just trying to figure stuff out. But I don't show it, right? I don't show it because it's nothing to look at. But that is where I'll be putting my time and my efforts. If you're ever in Costa Rica, holla at your girl. I'm taking volunteers. Um, for real. That is real. And so feel free to come donate your time and your efforts. If I have any herbs or anything that I can share. Oh, I didn't even mention lemongrass. Lemongrass just sitting right here. I have several lemongrass around the property. Um, what else? But, you know, um, again, if you're healing with herbs, holla at me. Tell me what herbs you're growing, what herbs you're using on your healing journey. For me, it was lemon balm and oregano. Those were my two best friends. Some of the herbs that I like, I purchased, but I do have seeds so I can grow them myself. I just can't get to it all. It's not a thing where you can do everything at once. But I do plan on growing a ton of herbs. And if you've grown some herbs recently, or a specific herb has changed your life or healed you, um, then please do share in the comments. Share what you're growing. Share what is eluding you. Share your milestones, and we'll go. I would love to grow with you. Let's grow together. I'm a beginner gardener, and I'm looking forward to having someone to bounce ideas off of. And I'm looking for help if I'm keeping it all the way real. And so when I have issues, I will be turning to the community, for help, for support, for love, even for laughter, and I will support my fellow subscribers. If you've got channels with quality content, if you are gardening or you're doing something specific, please do share. We can grow together. And also, I want to thank anyone and everyone for tuning in today or watching the replay. And whether you're here for farming or healing or just to hear expat stories, because I just dabbled with the expat stuff. But this is about more than just growing food, it's about growing at life. And, if you can, please like the video, subscribe to stay updated, share with someone, tell a friend. Um, And if you know anyone that's on their healing path or wants to heal as a collective, wants to share their remedies, recipes, all that good stuff, and we're building something beautiful. So, with that being said, I'm going to share with you that we tend to the soil, we nourish our bodies, and we heal our soul. And if you feel it in your heart to support me on my channel, please check out the link in the bio and feel free to donate. Every little bit counts. And I will see you. I will see you on my next video or my next live. Thank you for being here with me, for feeling me, for understanding and listening to a little bit of my story. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments, and I will either update this video or make another video to address any topics that I did not discuss in its entirety, or maybe I jumped around, or maybe I never came back to it. Talking to yourself essentially, is not that easy to do, and it takes practice. And I'm down to practice and grow with you, and I hope you can bear with me as I improve my craft, right? As I grow on this journey. And I thank you for watching. Bye for now.